Join the team.
Hey team, it's McGuire Review, and we have got a very big product to look at today. This is brand new from Wizkids. It is the Icons of the Realms Gargantuan Tiamat. Now, if you are a Dungeons & Dragons player, again, all these things can be reused for really whatever you want, but this is the iconic Tiamat from the Dungeons & Dragons line. If you are a Dungeons & Dragons player, you will know what this is more than likely. And this gargantuan sculpt that they have created is beyond anything that I thought it would be. The sheer scale of it is just almost ridiculous, but it is such a centerpiece model, and it provides so much scale at the table with your players. And we're going to look at some scale here. We're going to get some of our Bard characters out, our other Wizkids miniatures, the standard miniatures, tabletop miniatures, and we're going to set it next to this. You can just see how much bigger this is than those miniatures and how much scale it really provides, or party fear that I like to say. So the first thing we're going to do is I am going to look real quickly just to kind of show you the package. We're going to get it out of the way, and then we're going to focus on the model for the rest of the review. You may notice on camera here, I do just have these wings just barely pegged in here because I really want to show how this is put together, and then we'll talk a little bit about putting this together as well. So just so you know on the camera, if you can see some cracks here or this wiggles around, that's the reason why I've got that like that on purpose. If we look at the packaging here, obviously the box is huge to go with the huge model, and it is broke down inside the box. There is a nice styrofoam insert where it's all in there protected in the box, and that's all you're going to find in the box is just simply the model all down in the styrofoam, and each piece does have some plastic around it as well. So it is very protected, and I would, you know, I would expect for something that carries this kind of price tag to have a little bit better packaging, not just be in there in like plastic, that it is in there in the styrofoam and well protected. I will show you each side of the box as well. It's got some different artwork and some different look to it, which is pretty cool. I don't know, some people don't care about the box and others do. I always kind of like the packaging in the box, so we'll get that out of the way. All right, and now we'll get into the model. So the model, when you pull it out, is going to be in essentially 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces. Each one of the wings will be kind of separate in there, and I might have... No, I didn't lock that in. No, I do. I have that one. Okay. All right, so that one... almost dropped that wing. All right, and we'll talk about the materials as well when we go through. So I think that's important. Wizkids does use a number of different styles of plastic on this particular model. And then the tail will come off like this as well. All right. So these are the 4 pieces you're going to get in there. It does have the clear base, which, you know, frankly, I'm a fan of. I like the clear base. I don't have a problem with that. I think it actually looks better. And then on the bottom, you just have simply Tiamat. They have written there at the very bottom. Okay. So that's kind of the core of it. And then that's how it's going to go together. It's real simple. It only fits one way. You really can't mess that up. Just kind of go with the spines there. And the one thing that I'll say in just assembly, you do have to push pretty hard to get it on there. And you want to be careful because these can get kind of, they are a little flexible, but they can be sharp. So you don't want to hurt yourself. You want to get yourself some good leverage there and push that together. Okay, that's locked in as far as mine will go. Now, Wizkids did send this product to us for review. So you know, sometimes it's brand new right out of the gate. Sometimes it's a model they may have used for display or promotion. I'm not really sure. This did look like pretty much a full-blown production. Everything was all taped up. Everything was in there like it would be right from the factory. So. But this was sent over for review. Want to make sure that's called out. And then when it comes to the wings, those do require, at least this one here that I have, it requires a pretty good amount of force to get those wings in and locked in. You'll see there's 2 different clips on those wings, and again, they only fit one way. It's real easy. They go right in. You just want to make sure that you don't just sort of like push it and it's like, oh, it looks like it's there. You really have to put a good amount of pressure on it until it clicks, and then you can pull on it and make sure both of those locks are locked in there and clicked. Otherwise, you'll be carrying it around and all of a sudden, bloop, a wing will fall off, and it potentially could break if it fell, if you were holding it up in the air and it fell, down 3, 4, 5 feet. It could potentially break. I don't know if it would or not, and I'm not going to test that. The only reason why I say that is because, again, these are made with a number of different types of plastic, and you'll be able to hear right on the camera what I mean by that. When you get into the core of the body here and most of the necks, up into the sculpts of the heads, which are just fantastic. Look at these sculpts on the overhead miniature cam. They're nuts. The quality that's in each one of these unique head sculpts is so awesome. I love the paint job as well. But you can hear, okay, that's like that thicker core plastic that they generally use on these larger sculpts. Whereas when you get into like these pieces, you'll see how that's got some flex to it. It's that rubbery material, a little more rubbery. But then when you get into like the wings, and I would say even now, most of this is all core. You got a little bit of rubbery on these tips here, and you got a little bit of rubber, the rubbery plastic here. That's a word, rubbery. That's the word of the day, rubbery. Hey, but when you get into the wings, this, you see, I got that higher pitch. It's that thick core plastic, that harder plastic, okay? It's not that it's more brittle or anything. It is that harder plastic. Well, it is more brittle. Where that sometimes, especially when you get up into like these type of areas, I mean, it is pretty thick, but you just never know. I mean, you wouldn't want to grab this wing trying to like put this in and then like be putting all the pressure right here. You could snap the wing. You definitely want to make sure you're down here, center mass at the core, holding from one side like this, and then press and snap it in. Otherwise, if you get up here and start doing this silly stuff, you might snap this wing in half because it is made of that harder plastic. Okay, so that's something to call out, and you'll see how big those areas are there that lock those wings in. All right, so let's take a look at just the overall paint job. I'm gonna just keep this separate for the video here, so we can look at the wings. So when we look at this wing, again, you can see all these things on the close-up cam as well. The wing's done really well. It's a really nice, thick coating of paint. It's a thick coating of paint. It's done really well. And when you get into like these claws here, the different sculpting, they put kind of the holes in the wings. Everything's done really well. The sculpting's done really well, and the webbing and the bones kind of in the wings. There's a nice almost dry brush and a wash that's on there as well, which we've seen a lot over the last couple years from their products. One thing that I will call out, you may notice, look at this one here. It's broke. It's not broke. It's actually sculpted that way, and it is the only one that is sculpted like that. All the rest of them do have tips and points on them. It's only this one right here that does not, but it is sculpted that way. You can see the plastic is completely sculpted and it's painted to be that way. So don't look at that and think that it broke maybe in packaging when you get it. That is the way that it is designed to be. And I think that's a really unique look being like that. I almost wish they would have done another one of the points like that. And they just really didn't. Maybe another one on another side that's in a different spot. Maybe not as drastic, but a little bit more. I don't know. I think it would have balanced it a little bit better than just having one that's different than all the rest of the tips. Again, that's a nitpicky thing. It still looks amazing, but it's just something I would call out from a review perspective. I like the black that they used on the nails. It's kind of a blackish gray, or at least the wash or the dry brush that they put on it kind of brought out what a nail would look like, which I think is done really well. There is a couple spots on mine where the red from the wing kind of bleeds into the nail. I think it's only on this one tip that I noticed. All the rest, this one's got a little bit on the underside, But, you know, I actually don't think that looks very bad on this model, because it just sort of looks like the skin of the claw here is just kind of coming a little bit further, and then the nail is starting, which is normal on a regular nail as well. So I don't think it's a problem by any means, and it still looks really good. Okay, so that's really kind of some things that I found and saw on the wing. When you get into the core of the... Oh, and the other thing I'll call out is it does have it has a gradient on it as well, if you can see, where it starts at like a rich red, and as it goes down, you do get a deeper burgundy with some like black washing that's here at the bottom. So there is sort of this gradient of color as well that goes down these wings, which looks really good, especially when you've got some like good lighting on it and you can see that. Okay. All right, so let's get into the actual sculpt of the body. Yes, it's a gargantuan model, and it is huge, but a lot of its size is coming from the wingspan. The core of the body is large as well. So let me push this in, and I'm not going to lock it because I may want to get that back off. And let me get some of the test. We've got a elf bard and a halfling bard. And you can see we'll put those down there in front of the model. And these are standard size Dungeons & Dragons Wizkids miniatures. Okay, we'll put these right down in front of Gargantuan Tiamat there. And you can just see the sheer size and scale of how big this sculpt really is. Sometimes it's kind of hard to see even here on camera with me standing here, but this is a very large sculpt. And you can see that a lot of its size is coming from that giant wingspan. But there's quite a bit. So, you know, let's take this off just for some comparison to see, like, what does that feel like when the wings aren't there? It's still a very large model, even when the wings aren't on, just the core base in comparison to your standard size miniatures there. So it really is quite the centerpiece, and this would be really something that I don't think someone would buy just to be like, oh, here's this one situation of Tiamat that you have to fight or interact with. Or maybe Tiamat is in a certain campaign quite a bit. I don't see that being the full value for someone. I see someone buying this as, yes, I can use it in my game, but I'm going to put this up and display this as like a display piece. This is going to be like a quote-unquote sculpture in my gaming area, or a centerpiece that sits on a shelf or near the gaming table, that when someone walks in, it's like, whoa, what is that, right? Or, wow, that Tiamat sculpt is insane. That's really what I think people are going to be interested in this particular model for. And I say that because this is not low cost by any means. This is a $400 model. So this does MSRP for right around that $400 price tag. Obviously, that's MSRP. You can get this cheaper. This is going to be a much more expensive offering from Wizkids than what we generally see, even from some of the larger models like they've done that have carried the $80, $90, and even $100 price tag. This is 4 times that amount. But, again, for the size of this, for the sculpt quality that you get here, for all the details that are in this particular model, and for the centerpiece kind of display that you're getting, I'm not balking at the price tag on this one. I know there's going to be probably people that are going to think, wow, like really $400? But I mean, if this is what you're looking for, and you're looking for one of those, like, I want a centerpiece thing for my gaming table, for my gaming area, for my whatever you want to call it, your room that you have your RPG fun in, this may be it for you, and it definitely would be something like that. Anything that I would say that would be like that, you would be paying $300, $400, maybe $500, $600 for if you wanted to get those larger kind of sculpts that, you know, various different companies make that you can put on the wall. That would be something I would think that would be somewhat similar to this if you had this on a nice little podium sitting somewhere in your gaming area. Okay, So that is the Gargantuan Tiamat team. Again, it really is something. Like it's really a spectacle. This is an amazing sculpt. This is definitely probably one of the best sculpt things I've seen, not just because of its size, because of the detail and care that's been put into the paint job and the sculpting of all the different dragon heads on this. It just is absolutely amazing. So check out the new Wizkids Gargantuan Tiamat. It is out there in the wild now, and I'm sure you can find more information out there on it if you do want even further information on this. It's definitely out there. So hit that like, hit the subscribe below to join the team. Keep rolling them crits. This has been the McGuire Review, and we'll see you next time.